What if I told you that the most dangerous place to be in the American economy right now isn't at the bottom? It's right in the middle. You did everything you were supposed to do. You took on the student loans, you got the degree, you grinded through the internships, and you finally landed that coveted six-figure corporate job. You make $100,000 a year. You think you've made it. You think you're safe. But you haven't made it. You've just walked into a trap that is about to snap shut on the entire middle class. Right now, as you sit at your desk, moving data from one spreadsheet to another, drafting emails and summarizing meetings, an algorithm is quietly learning how to do your job. And it's not asking for a salary. It's not asking for health insurance. And it doesn't need to sleep. We are witnessing the silent slaughter of the white-collar workforce. But this isn't about robots taking over factories. This is about artificial intelligence hollowing out the knowledge economy. Today, we are going to break down the exact math behind what I call the $30,000 middle-class ceiling. I'm going to show you why the market value of your actual, human-only cognitive labor is rapidly dropping to 30 grand. What happens to the corporate ladder when the bottom rungs are completely automated? And most importantly, the 3 specific unautomatable moats you need to build right now to future-proof your income. If you've ever looked at your screen, watched an AI generate in 4 seconds what took you 4 hours to write, and felt a cold knot of dread in your stomach, this video is going to explain exactly what is happening to your career. Let's paint a picture of the modern American knowledge worker. Meet David. David is 28 years old. He's a financial analyst at a mid-sized consulting firm in Chicago. He makes $105,000 a year. On paper, David is the ultimate success story of the knowledge economy. He works about 55 hours a week. His day starts at 7 in the morning, pulling data from 3 different internal databases, cleaning it up in Excel, and building pivot tables. By 10 a.m., he's drafting a summary report for his manager, highlighting key variance trends. In the afternoon, he sits in back-to-back Zoom meetings, taking meticulous notes, and then spends 2 hours formatting those notes into a polished PowerPoint deck for the client. David is smart. David is hardworking. And David is entirely replaceable. To understand why, we have to look at a concept that economists call task automation versus job automation. The media loves to scream that AI is going to steal your job, but that's not how it works. AI doesn't steal jobs, it steals tasks. And when you break down David's $105,000 salary into a task-by-task audit, the reality is terrifying. According to labor market data and time tracking studies of corporate workers, the average mid-level knowledge worker spends roughly 70% of their week on what we call commodity cognition.
This is data aggregation, basic synthesis, formatting, and routine communication. It's the work of moving information from point A to point B. For David, that's about 38 hours a week. The remaining 30%, about 17 hours, is spent on premium cognition. This is stakeholder negotiation, complex problem solving, reading the emotional temperature of a client, and taking high-stakes accountability. Here is where the trap snaps shut. Large language models and AI agents have effectively driven the marginal cost of commodity cognition to 0. What used to take David 38 hours to do, an AI workflow can now do in about 45 minutes, and it does it with fewer errors. So let's do the brutal math. If David's company realizes that AI can handle the 38 hours of commodity work, David is no longer a 55-hour-a-week employee. He is a 17-hour-a-week employee. But David isn't being paid for his time. He's being paid for his output. And the market value of the output he produces in those 17 hours of premium human-only work, it's worth about $30,000 a year.
That is the $30,000 middle-class ceiling. It is the absolute maximum the free market will pay for purely human cognitive labor when the machine handles the heavy lifting of data processing.
You might be thinking, okay, but my company hasn't fired me. They haven't cut my pay. That's true. But corporate America moves slowly. We are currently in the latency period. The technology is here, but the HR departments, the legal teams, and the middle managers are still figuring out how to restructure the workforce. But make no mistake, the correction is coming. We are already seeing the early warning signs. Look at the tech sector. In 2023 and 2024, major tech companies laid off hundreds of thousands of workers. The media blamed rising interest rates and post-pandemic overhiring. But if you look closely at the hiring data, a massive shift occurred. Companies stopped hiring junior developers, entry-level copywriters, and associate data analysts. They kept the senior architects and the directors. They used AI to bridge the gap left by the juniors. They are doing more with less.
This brings us to one of the most dangerous, least talked about macroeconomic crises of our generation, the apprenticeship crisis. Think about how the corporate ladder works. You hire a 22-year-old out of college. They are terrible at first. They make mistakes, they cost the company money, but they do the grunt work. They format the slides, they check the code, they clean the data. And in exchange for doing that grunt work, they get to sit in the room with the senior partners. They absorb the institutional knowledge. They learn how to negotiate. They learn how to handle a furious client. They learn the unwritten rules of the industry. Over 10 years, that grunt work apprentice becomes the irreplaceable senior expert. But what happens when AI does the grunt work? Companies are thrilled. They save millions in payroll. They don't need to hire the 22-year-old. The AI writes the boilerplate code. The AI drafts the initial legal brief. The profit margins look amazing this quarter. But fast forward 10 years. The senior partners retire, and the company looks around for the next generation of leaders. But there is no one.
Because nobody hired the juniors. Nobody let them do the grunt work. The apprenticeship pipeline has been completely severed. We are eating the seed corn of the knowledge economy. If you are currently in an entry-level or mid-level role, you are standing on a trapdoor. The company is pulling the ladder up behind you, and AI is greasing the hinges. Now, I know this sounds incredibly bleak. If the market value of average cognitive labor is dropping to 30 grand and the corporate ladder is broken, how do you survive? How do you protect your income and actually build wealth in an economy that no longer rewards a college degree and a cubicle? You have to completely rewire how you view your own value. You must stop selling commodity cognition and start building what I call the Three AI-Proof Moats. Let's break down moat number one, the accountability premium. AI is a brilliant generator, but it is a coward. It cannot take a legal oath. It cannot go to jail. It cannot be fired and disgraced if a project fails. When a hospital uses AI to help diagnose a patient, the AI doesn't sign the chart. The doctor does. Because if the diagnosis is wrong, someone has to take the liability. In the corporate world, this is called the accountability premium. As AI generates more and more content, code, and strategy, the cost of generating ideas drops to zero, but the value of taking responsibility for those ideas skyrockets. If you want to break through the $30,000 ceiling, you must position yourself as the person who signs the document. You must be the one who looks the client in the eye and says, I guarantee this will work, and if it doesn't, it's on me. AI can write the proposal, but humans will pay a massive premium for the human who takes the risk. If your current job allows you to hide behind a screen and just pass information along, you are in the kill zone. You need to move closer to the client, closer to the revenue, and closer to the liability. Moat number two is physical world friction. AI lives entirely in the digital realm. It can read 1 million books in a second, but it cannot walk into a chaotic manufacturing plant.
It cannot read the body language of a frustrated floor manager, notice that a machine sounds slightly off, and negotiate a new workflow over a cup of bad breakroom coffee.
The more a job requires complex interaction with the messy, unpredictable physical world, the safer it is. This doesn't just mean plumbers and electricians, though they are incredibly safe. It means roles that bridge the digital and the physical. Supply chain negotiators who visit factories, commercial real estate developers who walk the land and read the local zoning board's mood, event producers who manage live human crowds. The digital world is being commoditized. The physical world is not. If you can anchor your career to physical reality, you build a moat that software simply cannot cross. Moat number 3 is the most powerful, and it's the one that will create the next generation of millionaires. It's called the Centaur Strategy. In chess, a centaur is a team made of a human and an AI playing together. And for a long time, centaurs could beat both solo humans and solo supercomputers. The winners of the new economy will not be the people fighting AI, and they won't be the people entirely replaced by AI. The winners will be the centaurs. These are the individuals who use AI as a leveraged workforce. Remember David, our financial analyst? If David just sits there while AI does his spreadsheets, he's worth 30 grand.
But what if David learns to build custom AI agents that do the work of 10 junior analysts? What if David starts offering his deep industry knowledge combined with his automated AI workforce as a fractional consultant to 5 different companies? Suddenly, David isn't an employee capped at $100,000. David is a micro business generating $500,000 in revenue with almost zero overhead. This is the great paradox of the AI revolution. It is going to crush the traditional middle-class employee, but it is going to create a golden age for the AI-leveraged solopreneur. The tools of production that used to require a 50-person company and $10 million in venture capital are now available to a single person with a laptop and deep domain expertise. But to take advantage of this, you have to shift your mindset. You have to stop thinking like an employee who trades time for money and start thinking like an owner who builds systems that generate outcomes. You need to audit your current skill set. What do you know deeply that an AI trained on the public internet doesn't? What proprietary relationships do you have? What niche industry problems do you understand better than anyone else? That is your foundation.
You then use AI to build the walls, the roof, and the marketing engine around that foundation. Let me give you a real-world example of this shift. Look at the marketing industry. The mid-level copywriter who writes generic blog posts for SEO is being decimated. Their income is plummeting. But the strategic brand consultant who uses AI to analyze millions of customer data points, identify a hidden psychological trigger, and then uses AI to generate 50 variations of ad copy to test that trigger, that person is charging $50,000 for a 2-week sprint. The skill isn't writing the words anymore. The skill is asking the right questions, understanding human psychology, and directing the machine. The bottleneck is no longer production. The bottleneck is taste, strategy, and curation. If you can develop elite taste in your specific industry, AI becomes your infinite, free labor force. If you only have average taste, AI is your replacement. We are living through the most significant restructuring of human labor since the Industrial Revolution. In the 1800s, we outsourced our physical muscle to steam engines. The artisans and manual laborers who refused to adapt were left behind. But those who learned to operate the machines and those who built the factories created generational wealth. Today, we are outsourcing our cognitive muscle to neural networks. The junior analysts, the basic coders, and the average writers who refuse to adapt are going to hit that $30,000 ceiling, and they are going to be crushed by it.
But those who learn to operate the cognitive engines, those who take on the accountability premium, and those who build AI-leveraged micro-businesses are going to capture the upside of the greatest wealth transfer in history. The corporate ladder is broken. The six-figure salary is no longer a guarantee of middle-class security. It is a fading illusion. You can sit in your cubicle formatting PowerPoints, hoping your HR department doesn't realize what the technology can do. Or you can wake up. You can start building your moats. You can start taking accountability. You can start leveraging the machine instead of competing with it. The $30,000 ceiling is only a ceiling if you insist on playing by the rules of the old economy. In the new economy, there is no ceiling. There is only leverage. And the question is, who's going to hold the lever?
The reality is that the traditional W-2 job is becoming a liability, not an asset. If you want to break out of the employee trap and start building an AI-leveraged micro-business, you need to know exactly which business models are actually safe from automation and which ones are just digital sweatshops. Check out this video right here where I break down the top 5 AI-proof micro-businesses you can start this weekend with less than $100. Because the best way to future-proof your income is to stop renting it from an employer and start owning it yourself.